All right, so here we're going to try to solve a 3 by 3 system of linear equations, problem type 1. You're going to be given 3 equations with different unknowns, x, y, and z. The trick here is to take your time, be neat, and be organized. The way I like to help myself stay neat and organized is by calling the first equation equation 1, the second equation equation 2, and the third equation equation 3. So I use E1, E2, and E3 for that. I think if you're looking at Alex, it just says 1, 2, 3. I like to use E1, E2, E3. And your first goal is to choose one variable to, I shouldn't write it like a 2, right? To eliminate in 2 different ways. The goal is to end up with 2 equations and 2 unknowns instead of 3 equations with 3 unknowns. And so by picking one variable to get rid of in 2 ways, we should be able to create 2 new equations with just 2 variables. Okay? So what I like to do is I'll study the x's, the y's, and the z's to see if there's any of those variables that I can eliminate just by adding equations. So the x's aren't bad, but I can't just add any 2 combinations of equations to get rid of an x. So I'm going to look for a different one. The y's aren't bad, but I can't add any equations to eliminate a y. Now the z's, on the other hand, if I add the first equation to the second, I'll cancel out the z's. So what I would choose to do in this problem, and it changes from problem to problem, is I'm going to write down that I want to eliminate, and I'm just going to write elim for short. I'm going to eliminate z. And one way I'm going to do that is by adding equation 1 to equation 2. That should knock it out. I have to also do that in another way. If I multiply equation 2 by 2, this negative 2z would become a negative 4z. And when I add it to the positive 4z in equation 3, that would also knock out a z. So I'm going to multiply equation 2 by 2, and I'm just going to write that by writing twice equation 2, and then I'm going to add that to equation 3. So now let's carry this out. If I add equation 1 and equation 2, that's going to be x plus 2y plus twice z equals negative 2, and then 2x minus a y minus 2z equals negative 5. When I add them up, 2x and x make 3x. 2y take away a y is just 1y. These z's wipe out. Negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7. That's going to be my new equation 1. I have an equation now with just x and y, no z. That's great. You may not realize it's great, but it is. In a minute you'll know why it's awesome. So now I'm going to do twice equation 2 and add it to equation 3. So I'm going to double everything in equation 2. Let's see if we can fit it in here. 2x times 2 would be 4x. Negative y times 2 is negative 2y. If I double negative 2z, I have negative 4z. If I double negative 5, I get negative 10. Now I'm just going to add it to E3. That's x plus 2y plus 4z equals 0. When we add these guys up, 4x and x makes 5x. Ooh, for free I got negative 2y plus 2y to wipe out, as well as the z's. So it's just 5x equals negative 10. My new equation 2 normally would have a y in there. Okay, normally it would be like an x plus, like a y in this new equation 1, and this would also have a y. And then if it did, I would just take my new equation 1 and new equation 2 and set up a new system where I have n1 and n2 and just solve the 2 by 2 system. Okay, in this case I lucked out. I can just solve this for x right now. I can divide both sides by 5 and I get x is negative 2. So that's really nice because if I know x is negative 2, I can substitute x equals negative 2 into new equation 1. And then I'll be able to get my y. So I'll get 3x plus y equals negative 7. If I replace the x with negative 2, that's 3 times negative 2 plus y equals negative 7. That would be negative 6 plus y equals negative 7. So add 6 to both sides, and I think we have y equals negative 1. Now I know y is negative 1 and x is negative 2. Now I can find my z, by substituting in the x and the y value I know. So I have x equals -2 and y equals -1. I'm going to go back to one of the original equations to get z. It doesn't matter if I pick equation 1, 2, or 3, as long as I pick one of them. I'm going to choose equation 1 to substitute in the x and y value I know. So if I do that, let's see, I have some room in here. Instead of x, I can write -2 plus 2 times y, and instead of y, I can plug in a -1. And then I have plus twice the z value is -2. So that's -2 minus 2 plus 2z equals -2, or -4 plus 2z equals -2. I add 4 to both sides. I get twice z is 2 divided by 2, and I get z is 1. So I have my z, my y, my x. I have all three. Any questions? Okay, I have video done. I think.